Hey BIM year group, class of 2019 to 2020. Did you miss me? Well, honestly, I missed you. And it was an absolute pleasure to see all of you guys again in online and on campus this first week back. And I hear that now it's going to be the same for the whole of term one until Christmas. Now, I hate to be the breaker of bad news, but I sometimes do feel that it could be a little bit longer than that. I don't know. So now's the time to reach out to all of you lovely year group. So because for the next few classes, I'm planning on giving you guys a masterclass series where I talk about the songs that I've written. But before I get on to that, I want to show you something first. I'm sitting here today with this cool Sigma guitar. Now this type of guitar, when I was growing up, it pretty much was the one guitar I really wanted to have, because a lot of all my favourite artists use this kind of guitar, like Bob Dylan, Paul Simon, the list goes on, and even Kevin Cronin from REO Speedwagon had a guitar like this as well. So I just thought I wanted to have the same kind of guitar as they did. And now, what I'm going to do is I've decided that I'm going to give you all a masterclass series where I talk about my songs. In this video, I'm going to talk about the song Imagination Can Become Reality, which was the very first song I'd written. But before I get on to that, I just want to tell you just a little thing about songwriting. Now, songwriting is a very creative thing where you come up with your own original ideas. But before I came to BIM, I only just wanted to just be like a frontman for a band, in which I only wanted to be in vocals, so I could be like some of the great frontmen like Roger Daltrey or Paul Stanley, as to me they're the two best frontmen of all time. And but then one day the penny dropped and songwriting came to my mind. And the good thing with songwriting is that you can come up with your own ideas then, and even talk about events that happened in your whole life growing up, because that's what it is for me, really. So that's just one little thing I want to say about songwriting. Now, for the song. Imagination can become reality. What I'm going to do is, in each of the songs, I'm going to tell you how I got the title, I'll give you some of the lyrics, and I'll play you a few pieces of the song, like, for example, some of the chords. So, the title, Imagination Can Become Reality. I came up with that title because this kind of now refers to the lyrics, the opening lyric, when I was growing up. So when I was growing up, I imagined that everyone was everybody else, which is like, so basically what I mean by that is that I often would, like, if I'm listening to some music, I would often, and if I'm jamming out to it, I would imagine that another band was playing it. So for example, if I'm listening to Bruce Springsteen, for example, I always would pretend that Kiss is playing it. Because sometimes when I hear Bruce Springsteen music and some of 70s Kiss music, I can pick up on the influence they had on each other's music. And the same with Bob Seger's for the 80s Kiss music too. So I just feel there's a bit of an influence between the two, especially when the 80s came on board. I sometimes would imagine that if I'm listening to Queen music, I would imagine that Aerosmith would be them. So for example, it would be like, because I sometimes think of Steven Tyler being like the American version of Freddie Mercury. Like, many people always wanted to be Freddie Mercury. Who wouldn't? So I always like to imagine these things. So I always have it as my imagination in a way. And sometimes your imagination can become reality as well. Like, if you, like, let's say you're having a dream and you like to think of something that's really going on. Like, sometimes when I have dreams, I hope that they would become reality, because sometimes if I'm like one dream I had, I was imagining that I was going on to play a Guns N' Roses song, and then I was kind of thinking, what's happening? And then, like, what's happening? When am I going to play it? But then suddenly I realized it was a dream then, and I was like, I wish it was reality. So you can sometimes hope that your imagination can become reality. That's why I like to imagine that my imagination can become reality. Because think of the dreams reality thing. You can sometimes have your dreams as your reality. So that's all there really is in terms of the title. Now for the lyrics. When I was growing up, I imagined that everyone was everybody else. So as I said earlier about imagining that Kiss was Bruce Springsteen and Bob Seger, it didn't necessarily mean that Springsteen and Seger would be doing a Kiss as well. It's just whenever it just depends on the artist. Like, some of you can leave me a comment in the comments box below, and you can also message me on Facebook as well, because feel free to have any questions about the song too. So then the next line, then another line in the song is, when I was nearly 19 I was asked to quit, because back in my secondary school days we were all like these alter ego people of famous musicians, and then once my Leaving Cert came on board, and then many of the students kind of wanted to go on and do different things. Like, not many of them were interested in music. Well, not the fan, like they just like music. They just wouldn't want to be they didn't really want to study it in a way. But I mean, they do like listening to music. It's just not necessarily their thing, as it is to me. And that's because we were kind of getting a bit old, so that's why I've published my own collection. Like, I'm hoping to publish my own collection in the next future or so. So that's what it is for the nearly 19 I was asked to quit. Like, we kind of needed to grow up a bit. But then I decided to keep it to myself in a way and not share it with anyone, except if I meet someone new, and not necessarily the same people who are in the same school with me. So that's what it is in terms of lyrics. Another example of a lyric is, I always dreamed of being my heroes. Like, who wouldn't dream of being their heroes? Like, think of all the great people I look up to, like Bob Dylan, Paul Stanley, Phil Collins, Roger Daltrey, Lou Gramm, Perry Edwards, my celebrity crush even, Kevin Cronin, Steven Tyler, Dennis DeYoung, Paul Simon, Leonard Cohen, James Taylor, Eric Bloom. The list goes on. John Fogerty, Noel Gallagher even. Jim Kerr, Paul Weller, Bruce Springsteen, Bob Seger, Joe Elliott. The list goes on. I'll leave an attachment of my inspirations in the section in the comments box below, so you can check them out. Then with a line that goes, there's a chance of me adding up zeros. I always think of it as the chance of it being zero, like, not necessarily you get to be your own hero, like as in being like those people. So that's what there is of the lyrics. Now for the chords, I based the song off Bob Dylan's You're No Good with C major chord, where on his one it goes like this. So his intro goes, whereas I sound quite different. I'm more, I basically have the same intro but in a different key signature, and I decided to repeat that line just so the intro is not exactly like the original. So in terms of the chords, the Bob Dylan You're No Good is in the key of C major, and I based mine for Imagination Can Become Reality in the key of A major. Why did I do that? Because I got inspired by Phil Collins doing the You Can't Hurry Love by the Supremes, where the original Supremes version is in the key of B flat major, and then Phil Collins did his in the key of G major. And because G is the relative minor chord of B flat, like, another example is Seal's version of Queen's Who Wants to Live Forever, where the original Queen version is in E minor, but his one is in C sharp minor, as many Queen songs had to be taken down to a lower key to accommodate their voices and not just to sound like Freddie. So I kind of was very inspired by including it, by looking at the major key and playing it in their minor key signature, but not like A minor from C. It's like if there was a song with the key of A major, I wouldn't play it in F sharp minor. That would only be if the song was in A minor and then F sharp minor. So that's what there is for that one. And then another section song is in Dylan's one, in You're No Good, it goes like, he has one where it goes, then in my one, in the line where I said, when I was nearly 19 I was asked to quit, I'm more like this. I decided to throw in a C sharp minor chord, because I sometimes feel if it was a D flat chord, like, it doesn't really sound that good to me. And then I used a B minor for the, instead of just a B major going. But I sometimes feel the B major and the E major go like that, and then for his chorus, his is more. I'm gonna do it, gonna give you a satisfaction. I wanna give you the blues, I wanna lay down that. I always come up with my own choruses. Like in my case, it goes like this. Regulation, it's fine, meditation. It's like a little rose that I've made it fashion. My imagination is my personality, and animation can become reality. Usually I have my own choruses because not many of Dylan's tracks have choruses, so I can always come up with an original catchy chorus to make sure that it doesn't sound too similar. But some of these songs are very similar to others, but that's why it's very hard to come up with your own ideas, because that's the hardest thing with songwriting too. Like I said, feel free to leave me any comments if you have any questions as well on how I got the ideas, if you guys have questions yourselves. So, I also included a bridge as well in the song, although in the You're No Good there's just only 2 verses. To make it completely my own, I decided to have it as like the verse, chorus, bridge, and then a solo, and then the final verse and the final chorus. But sometimes we would repeat the chorus, because when I actually started my songwriting, I kind of felt for the first song I'd ever written, I wanted to kind of follow it like that, like, as I said, verse, chorus, bridge, solo, verse, chorus. Just so that way, it's what a normal pop song would be like. And that's all there really is in terms of the song. The idea came to my mind when I was walking down Portrane one day in the lovely sunshine. That's why my curtains are closed, just to not block any, because I'm trying to block the sunlight coming in. But it's very good that I'm able to share with you guys these songs, especially in this whole free time that we have off. So I'll play you a bit of my my bridge. It goes, I tell my girl about this. She says I get what you need. I tell her everything. Then she became my queen. And then I just go into my. Then I actually play that chorus bit too. I think it would be really cool if that was a guitar solo. Now there's some of the lyrics, like in the last verse I have a line that goes, to get people engaged, I need to send letters to their I forget what the lyric is, but I can attach the lyrics to you if you'd like to have a look at the lyrics yourself. And in the second verse where I talk about the heroes, I have another line that goes, I told everyone about an alter ego band. My uncle said to me, you've moved to Alias Land, because that's what it's not necessarily Alias Land. I always have it as like some kind of biopic type thing. And then if some people get confused, they always say, that's why the next line is, people tend to tell me you bore us at times. But I sometimes like to explain it a bit more, especially if some of you guys are new to this thing and didn't know about it during my whole life growing up. Yeah. That's all there pretty much is in terms of the song. I think it's one of the best songs I've ever written, and I think it would be a perfect opening track for my possible debut album. And what's even cool about this guitar I have here is that in here I have the volume controls to check if the volume is high or low. And then over here I have the little thing to, like the electric acoustic guitar to plug in. Which I think is really cool. So that's it. That's my masterclass on the Imagination Can Become Reality. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, BIM, year group 2019 to 2020. It was an absolute pleasure to see a lot of you again online and on campus. Hopefully you'll be able to continue it again throughout all of term 1, and hopefully by the end of Christmas we'll be back on campus full time then, depending on the restrictions in the world that we're living in at the moment. But anyway, thank you very much, guys. Feel free to leave me any questions or comments you have, and also you can message me on Facebook as well if you have any questions too. Thank you very much. Take care, and I hope to see you again soon.